Hi, I'm Pastor Stephanie Lape. I serve at Cross and Crown Lutheran Church in Rancho Cucamonga, California. I hope you're all doing really well. I have been doing these short talks for a while that are on spiritual health and spiritual well-being, and yet I have not been doing them recently because I just wrote and published a book. And we all know in ministry and in every area of life, we can't do everything at once. And so some things have had to be shifted around and put on the back burner for a while. But my book is now up and published, and so now I can get back to these little talks. And I love talking about spiritual health and well-being and all the different areas of that. So check out all the videos we've done before on this channel. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet, and share them with friends and family if they are helpful to you in any way. Well, lately, I have been noticing my own emotional and spiritual well-being, and I feel very, very joyful these days. I feel very happy that the pandemic seems to be maybe over the worst of it, God willing. We really hope it's over the worst of it. In San Bernardino County, where our church is located, we've gone from the purple tier to the red tier, which means things are getting better. COVID deaths and infections even are getting lower. There's more room now in our hospital ICUs. So we're super excited about that. The vaccine is out, and different states I know are doing things differently, but a lot of people that I know in California have received the vaccine. In fact, both doses. And so a lot of people in our congregation, some of my family members, even in other states, have received it. I can't wait to receive mine. So there is joy here. You know, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. We're not out of the tunnel yet. So we still need to wear our masks and maintain social distancing and those things. But things are better. We are, in fact, worshiping at Cross and Crown. We've been solely online for a year. And now we are going to be meeting for outdoor worship on March 28th, Palm Sunday, in our parking lot. So we're very excited about that. That will be so wonderful to see our congregation again. And that's just one step closer to phasing back into our sanctuary and worshiping in the building. What a year it's been. So I feel incredibly joyful to see some movement. At the same time, I've noticed in myself a sense of frustration. And that's kind of weird because I thought I would only feel joyful as this whole thing came more toward an end. But the frustration as I really analyzed it and thought, you know, what's going on? Why am I frustrated? And why is my husband frustrated? And people in my family frustrated? I thought it's sort of like when you know things are close to ending and you want it to hurry up and end already. You know, you know you're almost there, and so you want to rush the last part of it. I think that I unconsciously gave the virus a year to do its thing. You know, I kind of said, okay, I'll go through one season of Thanksgiving or Christmas or summertime or whatever it was. I'll go through one season of every season. Just barricaded in my house, you know, and not going out to vacations and movies and restaurants and things like that. But I think that the more it got closer to the year mark, and it's about a year right now, the more I noticed my whole family was like, okay, we're done. We want to get back to normal. We held on for so long, and it gets a little wearying after a while. But I read something really interesting the other day, and I want to share this with you. I was reading in my Bible in the book of Jeremiah, an interesting statement. So Jeremiah is a prophet, and he was pretty young when God called him to be a prophet. And a prophet is not somebody who speaks their own words, their own wisdom, but rather they are a mouthpiece for God's words and God's wisdom. In fact, the word prophet literally translated means mouthpiece. So Jeremiah said to the people, as the mouthpiece of God, you're now in exile, and so here's how I want you to be while you are in exile. Now, what this is referring to is the Babylonian exile. Israel was divided into two kingdoms, the northern half and the southern half. Well, the southern half, known as Judah, the top half was just known as Israel, but the northern half was known as Judah, and it fell to the Babylonians. It was captured, it was conquered. Jerusalem is in that part of Israel, and the people were made to leave Judah, and they were captured by the Babylonians. They were held in captivity for 70 years. They were the Jews, the chosen people, in exile. A lot of the Bible was written during this time while they were in exile. Eventually, they were allowed to return back into Judah, into the larger country we now call Israel. But not all of them did return. And so from that time forward, the Jews have been in what's called diaspora, which means dispersion. They were not altogether one chosen people anymore. So this exile time was very hard for them. They were mourning, they were grieving, being kicked out of their land, being kicked out of the holy city of Jerusalem, kicked out of where the temple was, because the temple in Jerusalem they believed was the very literal home of God. So it was just heartbreaking to be away. Many of them thought that God made this happen. God put them into exile as some kind of a punishment for being unfaithful. Others just kind of blamed the Babylonians and not blamed God, but didn't understand why God was even allowing this to happen. And even though that was thousands of years ago in another area, that might echo some of our thoughts about COVID. You know, many of us don't think that God just like gave it to us as a punishment or something like that. That doesn't fit who we believe God to be. But we wonder, why did God even allow it? Why did God allow the situation where millions of people around the world have died from this horrible disease? And so we've asked, what's going on, and we really get no answers about that. There's so much mystery to what God allows and doesn't allow. But we do feel in many ways like we are living in exile. We're not kicked out of our homeland as the Israelites were, but we're not allowed to worship in our sanctuaries, and I mean, I know some have done indoor worship, but a lot of churches, particularly in my denomination, the counsel from our bishops was to not bring the people together right now because it's not safe. So we have felt like we are in exile from our churches, our church buildings, and also from friends and family we like to see, activities we like to do, traveling, all kinds of things that are more like the lifestyle we would choose. Some people have had job loss and economic downturns because of this as well. And of course, many people have had really bad health, and some have even died. So this understanding, or this metaphor of the exile, seems to be very relevant to what we're going through today. We are in many ways a church or a people in exile. So Jeremiah, then, speaking from the mouth of God, says this, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the Bible in front of me, so I don't remember word for word what it says, but basically God says, I want you, while you are in exile, to plant gardens and grow things, and then enjoy the fruit of what you've grown in your garden in exile in Babylon. Now, that would have been not the Holy Land, like literally planting in another land, other dirt that wasn't the Holy Land or the holy dirt. I want you to grow a garden elsewhere right now. And I want you to raise up your children. Again, not in the Holy Land, not around the temple, not in the sacred city of Jerusalem. I want you to raise up your children there in Babylon. And eventually I want you to give your children, your sons and daughters to marriage, so they then can start their own families. And then God says through Jeremiah, in 70 years, I will bring you back from exile. 70 years. I mean, when we think of what we've gone through for 1 year, feeling like we were in exile in some ways, imagine 70 years in exile. But what God says is not, I want you to have patience. Patience is sort of like when you're, just gripping and holding on and gritting your teeth and willing yourself to get through something. That's patience. Like, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to hold on even though I don't like it. It reminds me of like when I go to the dentist and they're doing a root canal or something, and I just have to be patient, and I have to like deep breathe and, hold on. I might not like the dentist, but I have to be patient, and I kind of will myself to be patient. God does not say do that. God says enjoy it, which is very different. I mean, I've never really enjoyed the dentist, although they do have television and I can watch I Love Lucy, so that's pretty cool. But other than that, I don't really enjoy the dentist. I have to be patient. But in the exile, God says to the people, even though they are in a place where they don't want to be, doing what they don't want to do, God says, enjoy it. Enjoy planting a garden. Wait for the fruits and vegetables to grow out of the garden. It'll take time, but rather than patience, because imagine planting a garden and going, come on, seed, grow. Instead, just enjoy the garden, relax, enjoy your children, give them to other people to marry, so they can start their own families. God basically is saying, bloom where you're planted. So for me, this is getting back to this spiritual principle that I think is still relevant today. When I feel a sense of frustration, like, come on, can this pandemic be over already? That's being out of alignment spiritually. That's not what God asks of me. God does not ask me to be frustrated and yet patient. God asks me to enjoy this time. And I might go, well, that's ridiculous. I can't go to movies or out to dinner. God's like, yeah, but you can plant a garden. You know, you can enjoy your children. You can reorganize your garage. You can enjoy the sunshine. You can go for a drive and look out at a golf course like I'm doing right now. You can, where's my cup? Go get a Starbucks cup. I mean, there are things you can enjoy. Coffee, you know, talking to friends on the phone. Rather than like white knuckling it through this and just trying to be patient and hold on. Because for me, that means I'm not in a good, that's not the best attitude. I mean, maybe it's better than yelling at people. I mean, maybe patience is better, but it's not that great, because patience just means that I'm masking my real feeling of impatience. It just means that I'm kind of faking it. And I don't want to white knuckle it. I want to really be in alignment with God. I want to know that God is here now, today. It's so trivial that I can't go to a movie theater. Someday I will, but right now, that's not that important in the scheme of things. What's most important is that I know God here, and I know God now, and I know God with me. That's a really different frame of mind. So for you, as I'm always sharing my spiritual thoughts and journey, you know, thinking maybe it'll resonate with some of you, I wish for you not patience, not white knuckling it, but enjoyment. And if the Jews that were in exile in Babylon could find things to enjoy, like planting a garden and raising up their children and living with their God, who could be in Babylon too, not just Jerusalem, then we too can be with our God that's with us right now, not in the future when we get to do whatever again, but right now. What can we live into right now? Thank you so much for listening to this. Please do subscribe, share with friends, and I'll be back next week for more. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.